Hi, welcome to Green TV, the show dedicated to positive green solutions and the independent and third-party candidates that advocate for them. We are glad to have today with us Elaine Hildebrandt. Elaine Hildebrand is part of a husband and wife team who made history this year in Virginia. We believe that Elaine and her husband Ken are the first husband and wife team to run concurrently for Congress in Virginia and perhaps in the U.S. And we have a clip from Channel 7 that we would like to show at this time.
For the first time in Virginia history, a husband and wife are running for Congress. Ken Hildebrand has run before, losing to Robert Hurt in 2012. Now he is running again, and this time his wife wants to potentially join him in the House of Representatives.
I'm Elaine Hildebrandt, and I'm running for U.S. Congress here in the 6th District.
The Roanoke City Market, where ideas are traded as freely as the produce. Elaine and Ken Hildebrand certainly think so.
And I'd like to give you my card and ask that you look at the site and check it out and chat it up, because we're not asking for money from anybody, just people's effort that everyone can give.
The husband and wife team hope to represent a large part of Southwest Virginia as candidates for the Independent Green Party. Ken in Robert Hurt's 5th District in Southern Virginia, and Elaine in the 6th against Bob Goodlatte. The main plank in their platform, industrial hemp.
It still seems like a far out there idea. How do you reconcile that?
No, it hasn't. And talking with people getting on the ballot, it hasn't been.
It's time for real change, but our positions, we're laying out how that change can happen. We're not just saying hope and belief.
This will be the second go-around for Ken after gaining about 2% of the vote 2 years ago in the 5th District election. Now both of them hope and believe they will do much better.
What's the main motivation to run? What do you see is the reason why you need to be in this race?
Well, we consider that our planet's future is at stake right now.
Both Hildebrands are hoping to poll at a high enough number to possibly debate their other candidates as we draw closer to Election Day.
Again, thank you for joining us on Green TV. I'm here with Elaine Hildebrand. She's the candidate for Congress in Virginia's 6th Congressional District. Elaine is a former elementary school teacher, and she has joined her husband in running for office this time. Welcome, Elaine.
Thank you, Gail. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. Can you tell us, Elaine, a little bit about how you decided to run as an independent or third-party candidate?
Actually, it was by an invitation from Carrie Campbell, who came to our house with his wife Judith, and Ken had already decided he would run again in the 5th District, but Carrie came and asked if I would consider running in the 6th. And it didn't take much time, because I know how needy we are of real people in Congress to represent us, and so I took on the task.
I see, and I hear that you're an excellent petition gatherer with a tremendously high validity rate. I really admire that about you. Did you enjoy collecting the signatures?
It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work, but yes, it was fun. It was great to meet a lot of different people from the different districts, because I collected signatures for Ken in the 5th and myself in the 6th, and that's quite a number of signatures. But the people along the way, you teach and you learn in the process, so it was a very, very wonderful experience.
I see, wonderful. And you, Roanoke is in your district.
Yes, it is.
Roanoke is very, very pro-rail, I found. Did you find that to be true as well?
Yes, they have a need for it there. Unlike where Ken and I are in Southside Virginia, where trains actually can cause more traffic because they're freight trains, and we don't have access to rail travel, which I wish we did. But in Roanoke, yeah, they really are needy of mass transportation. The traffic there, I've been a few times, and it just makes sense.
I see. And having lived in Manhattan, did you take the trains there when you lived there, or do you have experience?
Yes, the subway, very familiar with the subway, and when they go out, then you use your 2 feet.
I see, I see.
But rarely did I drive in the city. We had a car, but we used it mainly to escape from the city, and used mass transit while we were there, buses and trains.
I see. Wonderful. And you are a former elementary school teacher?
Yes, I taught for a long time, well, a number of years in New Jersey, and I moved to Manhattan, and I got involved in the corporate arena and nonprofit organizations. I worked for a bit, but then went back to teaching, which was the love that I've always had. I love working with little children. I worked in second grade for the most part, and what I enjoyed the most about them were their questions. And much like getting signatures on the ballot, the questions that people ask, I like people to ask questions.
I see. And as you have said before, you're not asking for any money in this campaign?
We are not. We're not asking for any financial donations, just people's effort, which everyone can give.
Yes. Would you explain a little bit about the effort that you would like for the viewers to contribute to an independent campaign and to your campaign?
When I speak about effort and contributing effort, it's basically grassroots, people talking to people to get the word out that Ken and I are on the ballot. And we haven't released press releases to the media, and that helps. But in talking with people, they also agree that if you want something known, tell somebody and they'll tell somebody else. And that's what we're asking people to look at our websites and check it out and chat it up, because that, I think, will get the word out, and we need to poll at 10% to be included in the televised debates. So hopefully enough people will talk to each other and spread the word, and we'll get some real people in Congress.
And with social media, that word could be spread very, very quickly.
Absolutely,
nowadays.
absolutely. It's a small world now, and that's one avenue that we've tapped into.
Right. Okay. Independents are very favorable, looked at very favorably in Roanoke area in District 6. So have you found that to be true with your campaign, and in what way?
Absolutely. In fact, in gaining asking people for signatures, when I said that we were independents and not a major party, they were quick to grab the pen and sign the ballot sheet to get us on the ballot. So it's very important that people are very tired of business as usual, and they think and they see that with the independents, we're independent and we can address issues that haven't been addressed before.
I see. And you and your husband Ken are journalist. You've been working as a journalist and doing research on these issues.
Yes, Ken's we've had a number of websites throughout the years. We've worked for 14 and a half years without pay for fair elections. And I do a lot of the research. Ken does most of the writing. He does the research also, and we've continued to this day trying to get the word out about reality. Let reality be known, which is Ken's email address, but that's where we're coming from. We want reality to be known, and a lot of people are very much unaware of situations that we have solutions for. We have a plan.
Yes. Okay. For those folks out there who might be saying or thinking, we have fair elections, what would you say to those folks?
I think that they're not really fair, because many of the independents and parties are censored by the media, and so you don't get to hear what they have to say, especially in debates. We've covered a number of debates throughout the years where those voices are not heard. So if you don't hear everybody's voice, as any second grader would say, that's not fair.
Right. And for our viewers' information, in statewide elections, independent and third-party candidates are not allowed in the debates unless they poll at 15%. And it becomes a catch-22 situation, because it's very, very hard to poll higher in the polls if you're not in the debate. So we really do need some help there from the public in making sure that our candidates, our independent and third-party candidates, are included in the debates. Up here, we're very fortunate that the League of Women Voters does include congressional candidates for the most part in the debates. However, we find that the larger parties refuse to be up here on the stage with independent and third-party candidates in some cases, which is another rather obstacle to overcome. So you're very right on in that we do need a little bit of fairness in this political process.
As you mentioned earlier, we need to level the playing field. And honestly, getting those signatures was a lot of work. And I think that anyone who is on the ballot should automatically be included in the debates, not leaving it up to polling at 10%. I think that if you're on the ballot, people need to hear who's there and who they have a choice of voting for on November 4th.
Right. If they met the statutory requirements to be on the ballot, they are a valid, viable candidate.
Exactly.
It's a very good point. Let me check my notes here on my questions. Oh, yes. Elaine, you have humanitarian efforts with your recovery animals. I believe that's what your rescue animals. Could you tell us a little bit about that? You know, so many people in my district own animals or have animals at home. I think that probably we have as many animals in our districts as we have households. So could you tell us about your humanitarian effort working with animals?
Well, our household, we moved to Virginia with 2 dogs, and people warned us that when we came, we live in the country, we have a number of acres and a lot of land, but they warned us about coming, and the warning was about animals, because now we have 14 rescued dogs, 7 rescued cats, and yesterday one of our box turtles left us, but we have 9 box turtle rescues also, but all rescues. So not only have we rescued animals in our own immediate area, but I do work with some folks online through Facebook mainly, who have, they're in South Carolina and they work at a shelter there. So primarily I'm connected with that one particular group, but on Facebook you'll often see many people share animal situations that need help, and so I'll just share that. And it's amazing, Gail, because how much does it take to share on Facebook? You just need to click a click and it shares. And many people are reluctant to do that, but what it does is it helps save animal lives. In fact, the Wrigley heirs just saw on Facebook a dog who had been abandoned by his owners, walked 34 miles, this is a senior dog, walked 34 miles back to the family, and they rejected it. Oh. And they put it on Facebook trying to find it a home, and this woman saw this dog and rescued it. So sharing helps. Sharing as an animal advocate, sharing as a person running for Congress. We need to share information to help. Right, right. Does it also, do you advocate for neutering or having the animal spayed? We always promote that. It's one of the hard things, especially in rural areas. A lot of families can't afford that. So there are organizations that help people with that. But if they were to do that, it would decrease the problem by leaps and bounds. So we need to educate people, again, inform. I see. All right. And now let's take a break and hear a spotlight by Elaine Hildebrandt. Hi, I'm Elaine Hildebrandt, and I'm running for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 6th District. I'm a former elementary school teacher who mostly worked in Manhattan before joining my husband Ken as an independent journalist, primarily focused on elections in the United States. Ken did most of the reporting. I did a lot of the background research and still do, as does Ken. The primary issue we're trying to get out there is that of industrial hemp. The February 1938 issue of Popular Mechanics referred to hemp as the, quote, new billion-dollar crop, end quote. It's now been estimated to be over $1 trillion crop, which can be used to make over 25,000 products, including fuel, food, fabric, and medicine, yet it's illegal. It is the economic shot in the arm our nation and Virginia's 6th District needs now. When Ken asked presidential candidate Ralph Nader about this in Iowa in October 2004, Mr. Nader referred to industrial hemp as a crop, quote, that would advance our national security by decreasing our reliance on foreign oil. And what about hemp's cousin, marijuana? We are hopeful people soon grasp the reality that when enforcement are busy chasing over 750,000 people for plant possession each year, that means more real criminals will be at large as a result, which is simple deductive reasoning. And statistics back this reasoning. In 1970, the U.S. had some 300,000 prisoners and 90% of homicides were solved. Now we have at least 2 million additional human beings living in cages than we did in 1970. Yet now only between 61 to 65% of homicides are solved. In other words, it used to be that 1 out of 10 got away with murder, but now it's 1 out of 3. We're not asking for any money whatsoever for our campaigns. We are asking you to help, to help us, help everyone by sharing this vital information with others. Enough others so that we poll high enough to be included in televised debates, which we have been told is 10%. Though it should go without saying, it can't be. Our names must be included in the polling. There are other simple yet profound solutions in addition to what's stated in this brief introduction, and those issues are addressed in our campaign sites. If you're tired of the way things are going in Washington, here's your chance to do something about it, whether you have the right to vote or even live in the United States, by sharing this vital information available at our websites, electken.com and electelaine.com, with as many as you can. It's not about me, nor about Ken, but rather about all of us who ought to be living in a far more reasonable world. Many thanks to the Independent Green Party of Virginia for asking us both to run for U.S. House of Representatives at this most critical time of our state, nation, national, and global history.
Welcome back to Green TV. We're here with Elaine Hildebrand, part of a husband and wife team that making history this year in Virginia as being the first husband and wife team to run concurrently for Congress. Welcome again, Elaine.
Thank you.
I have a rather long question to ask you on renewable energies. Germany has set a goal of powering their country with 90% renewable energy by 2015 and has already reached 28% renewable energy this year. In fact, and one day in May, the renewable energy generation surged to a record portion of overall electricity demand, 75%. Electricity prices actually dipped into the negative for that day. Germany's renewable sources are primarily wind and solar. In the U.S., only 11.2% of the total energy production is from renewable sources, and then mostly from hydropower. Critics say the U.S. has yet to establish a strategy for energy independence, nor has the U.S. established a plan for sustainable energy from renewable sources such as solar, wind, and geothermal. Recently, 4 Germans scaled a landmark in New York City to replace an American flag with a white surrender flag. Do you think their action is a commentary on our lack of a renewable energy policy? And what should we be doing? And do you see alternative energy as an alternative to war for oil?
Well, first about the Germans who replaced the flag, I can't really speak to their motivation or what they were trying to do, so I really can't speak to that. I don't know what their intention was. I know that renewable energy is something that we need now, and there's a 4-letter word for what our plan for renewable energy, and that's hemp. And hemp is one of the most reasonable. It's just the answer to renewable energy. You can grow, it grows fast. We don't have to be cutting down our forests for energy. We could be growing it. It doubles the yield of what you get from trees. It provides fuel. the construction, hempcrete is one material made from hemp that could build homes that would be weather effective. It would really cut down on what we need to power. So hempcrete would also last for thousands of years, whereas the construction now, it takes a lot of heat for cement. To make cement, you need heat, and hempcrete uses a lot less, and it makes strong buildings.
Have there been any other states that have made that crop legal?
There are a number of states that have passed
resolutions?
Resolutions, is that what I want to say? But they've passed laws that say they could grow hemp. However, the federal government can interfere with that. And farmers who are ready to grow it can be arrested in those states that have legalized it. Except for, I think, Kentucky. The governor of Kentucky signed a couple months ago a bill that allows for the growing of hemp without federal interference. So I think it's something Ken and I have promoted for a very long time. And I think that while they took the first step, we need to follow fast, because it's just the solution for all of our energy needs. Along with solar, that's why the hempcrete solar panels on a hempcrete house would be the perfect building, and it would be sustainable.
I see. So we, the Independent Greens, advocate for putting solar panels on all government buildings. Would you and Ken support that type of proactivity?
Well, we can see in Germany it certainly has been effective. So yes, it's something that we need to move toward. But my only concern about solar panels is when the sun is blocked. So you don't get the energy from the sun when the sun's blocked. And there's
new technology now that allows storing of the energy, so that even when there is no sun, there's still warmth to heat the water and power the electricity.
Right. I'm not sure how long that lasts, but we're doing things that might interfere with that. I'm not sure that's a good idea.
I see. Right. And another question that we, the Independent Greens, advocate for is rail, mass transit. Every year, 33,000 Americans are killed on our roadways. 420,000 Americans are injured or maimed on our roadways. Rail is safer, and it helps us to have cleaner air and cleaner water. It can help us expand and grow the economy. Rail cuts dependence on consumable fossil fuels, and it reduces our national interest in the Middle East through simply conserving the consumable fuels that we have. The U.S. spent about $2 trillion on the war in Iraq. And the U.S. imports about $300 billion in foreign oil each year, not all from the Middle East, but the $300 billion. For $300 billion, the U.S. could build a nationwide high-speed rail system that would cut dependence on consumable fuels in half. Would you rather place our priorities on war, on oil, or on building rail, and why?
I think we need to get out of the wars and bring our families home. I think that the answer to renewable energy, again, is hemp, and it's the best source for renewable energy. We could eliminate our dependence on foreign oil. We don't have to send our children abroad to die for it. We don't have to drill for oil in the oceans. We don't have to mine for uranium. We don't have to do any of those dangerous things. We could be growing hemp. But rails, yes. When I lived in New Jersey and I traveled the Parkway in the traffic and stopped for hours on end, you see the median down the middle of the Parkway, and I always thought that that should be a rail. That should be train service going down, bringing people quickly back and forth without all of the things that you mentioned, all the dependence on the fuel, the effect it has on the environment, all the pollution from the cars. We could be growing hemp to make panels to make the trains. They've made car panels with hemp that actually absorb carbon. So when we talk about our carbon footprint, we could be solving that also. But we could use hemp to build the trains, and we need to build the trains because we need a reliable transportation device.
Alternative. Well, we're running out of time. Thank you very much, Elaine, for being here, and please thank Dr. Hildebrand also for the work that he does. You both running for Congress. And in closing, I would like to thank you, the viewers, for tuning in to Green TV. Please join us again, and if you'd like to Twitter us, you can reach us at #VA Green TV. See you again next time. I'm Gail Farrell Parker.